Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Courage to Live Your Dream. I am so excited because I have someone special that I'm going to introduce in just a second. But for now, I want to remind you that we are the show that helps guide and equip baby boomers in particular to use journaling to grow their creativity, gain more confidence, and increase their writing skills. We will show you how to turn negativity, health, and stress from pain to passion to help you heal, preserve memories, wisdom, and leave a legacy behind for your family and even become an author. I am the host, LaWanna Parker, and also the producer and CEO of this show. Today, I am honored, pleased, and thrilled beyond words to have a very special guest to present to you today. This lady is so exciting, and I just know you are going to love her as much as I do after you hear her. She is someone who is what we call an up and coming star in the United States. She's already made it in the Philippines. She's a broadcaster, commentator, live talk show host, teleradio, a radio director, producer, and she's a certified mental toughness coach. She's certified NLP. She's also a columnist, a writer, and a editor. She is an international speaker, a consultant, an educator, a trainer, a coach, event host, satirist, and a humorist. Please help me welcome this very outstanding, innovating, and oh my gosh, you're gonna love her, Miss Vivien Manglindan. Vivien, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, LaWanna. You said such amazing things. I was like, who's that about? Who's that about?
And that's only a small portion of it. My goodness, you are a busy lady.
What's important, let's start with this message, is to be busy and happy. That's where we're going, right? In
Exactly.
anything that, and LaWanna, it's not necessarily the ha 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 happy. That's scary. At the
You,
end of the day, right? You can say it was a good day.
hey, it is a good day. It is a good day. But you are a person who can turn even the most mundane thing into something exciting that gets people really revved up. So tell us about who Miss V truly is.
That is a question that will take me 2,987,654 minutes to explain, and I'll run out of breath. let,
Well,
let me
I think
ask.
we can handle a few of those. Give us
Okay.
glorious highlights of who Miss V is, because when I met you, I was just really excited because you were so. I mean, you had the kind of enthusiasm, the happiness, the just rises anybody's level, and you brought such energy into the meeting that I first met you in, and I just knew I had to get to know you. And it has been a whirlwind trip. I have to tell you.
That is true. When Lawana and I met, it was like we were like, old friends that reconnected. Like, you know how it is in high school, and then you meet after 20, 30, 40, let's go to 50 for our age, right? Years later. And it's funny, we've been inseparable. We call each other, we text each other, we're just always conversing with each other.
Yes, yes, we do. And I thank you because I personally feel I've learned quite a bit just from observing you, let alone some of the advice and tips that you have given me along the way. I thoroughly appreciate that. But I really want to know a little more about Vivien, and I'd love for the audience to get to know who you are. Share with us some of the things that you have done that, or what got you into radio and broadcasting in general.
Sorry, I get giggly when people ask me that. I never applied for the job. I never I never studied broadcasting or anything that has to do with production, and I'm a producer. I never studied how to be a director, and I am, because I have this belief that having a certificate, a diploma, or a biodata that's about 2,000 pages long doesn't guarantee competence.
Mhm.
It doesn't.
It's, it's true. And
And
sometimes learning the hard way is the best way because you won't forget.
tell me about it. I tell people, if I seem so smart, it's because it came from all my bloopers in life.
I'm obviously one of your biggest fans, but I would like to know when you got into the broadcasting business, did you find it challenging or difficult? Because you're in the Philippines, and I know things are somewhat different in the Philippines versus
Ah,
how they are in the United States. So women don't always have as many freedoms or rights in other countries as they do here. So was it difficult for you to get in there? And once you got in, were they accepting of you?
I love your question because most people think you want something and then you want to get into it. My life, if we ever do this again here on air, has been a whole series of suddenly finding myself like, oh, I'm here. And I'm not kidding, like, and then I'm here. I'm always put into situations I thought I was not ready for, or not even ready. I didn't know I knew how. Does that make sense? Meaning
Mhm.
people could see something in me that I was like, me? Who? Me? Okay, let me tell you why. Somebody met me in a seminar on mental health, and he happened to be sitting beside me. Typically, me, I always have a comment about everything. Really, I always have an opinion about everything. And I tell people, correct me if I'm wrong, which people are like, are you serious? I like being corrected. And LaWanna, most people don't.
Mm. Well, the only way you can learn is if someone who knows takes the time and trouble to correct you, not in a critical or put down way, but in an educational way to help you improve. And I, for one, appreciate that because that's how else am I going to learn? You're going to let me continue making a fool of myself when you know the answer?
There you
I'm
go.
sitting there thinking, oh, I'm doing all right because nobody's saying anything.
Exactly. So to the people who are watching, you see why LaWanna and I fell in love with each other. Like, yeah, it's getting kind of obvious, right? We're like this. And when did we meet? 2 months ago?
Oh, it's been about 2 months. Yeah, it has. And it's feels almost like I've known you for years rather than weeks.
Exactly.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
Now, seeing that's the way we were, what happened was this guy beside me, I had no idea who he was. Actually, I never care who it is. I just say, I think blah. And then please correct me if I'm wrong. Then if I'm corrected, I'm like, wow, I owe you one. See, where most people are like, how offensive.
mm,
Remember, feedback is a gift. So I say gratefully, I owe you one. Here's the punchline.
mhm.
He went on and on and on. And later he said, I want you to guest on my show. I'm like, show? What show? I only knew you're my seatmate. It turns out he had a talk show. He had a business talk show. And you know what it's like to guest people who just recite things they've memorized. And of course, he's so bored to tears. And he said, I said, what are you going to talk about? Oh, he said, I've heard you talk about everything. I need somebody who has a conversation. And this is a person who became my friend for a long time, right?
Wow.
Interestingly, here's the backstory. I guested on his show, and I don't ask for talking points.
Mhm.
I'm one of those fearless characters where I treat everything as just a day in my life. And
Mhm.
that is why I look stress free at my age, which is 70. It's like, yeah, 7 decades here, right? This Lawana look, I tell
You're
people,
looking good, girl, for 70.
well, if you look at the world from a wacky perspective like I do, it helps. And also, if you laugh a lot, it kind of stretches your face.
Mhm. Well,
And
do tell. I better laugh a lot more.
yeah, there you
Mhm.
go. And it also works better on cam because tip for everybody, quick tip, is when we're having a good time, they're having a good time. When the guest
Mhm.
gets nervous, the host also gets anxious that it's going to be a bad show. So I'm
Mhm.
giving you tips on production and hosting. So I tell people, just be yourself. Not when people say be the best that you can be. That's stressful. I might be having a bad day. I'm not gonna be the best that I can be. Ha! I just really my greatest message is
Mhm.
decide that today is going to be a good day. Maybe not a wonderful day, maybe not an excellent day, but a good day.
Well, I always say I choose how my day is going to go. So when I first thing I wake in the morning, I give my thanks that I actually am here to see a new day. But then I make the decision. It's going to be a good day. Whether it turns out that way or not, I make the decision for me, it's going to be a good day. So I live by that. And it seems to work pretty well. I don't have time for negative things getting into my head. I get enough of that as it is. That's a 24-hour day job. Do you realize that? Because those negatives, they keep coming at you. They want in.
I like what you said
Mhm.
because I tell people, I say, but how do you know it's going to be a good day or it was a good day? I have a very simple childlike answer.
Mhm.
Well, the option was to not have today anymore. So I'm
Mhm.
just glad I had today.
Yes, absolutely. Mhm.
So
So,
going back to my story, I was just being myself. And just like you can see today, I ended up interviewing the host. And it turns out the host had a co host. And it turns out they were two senatorial candidates. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm with politicians because he's so humble. He didn't introduce himself as a politician. And I realized so was the other one. I'm like, oh, I'm sandwiched between two politicians. Nice. I might as well just enjoy myself. Really. So I ended asking the two of them all sorts of questions, like when we first met. And then it turns out, because you can see my body language, I'm just animation personified, right? The
Mhm.
station manager, because they have all of in it, this is in a TV station, they have so many monitors. And he was look because most business shows they're stones and rocks, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
here's this character like this. He got out from his office, went to the tech room. Who's that? No kidding, the famous who is that? and, and the techie says, I have no idea, but she's their guest. And so I was just watching. Famous words again. What a character. LaWanna, I don't know if that's good news or bad news. And people say, what a character. Point being, after the show, he came in and like, oh, I think I'm in trouble. I must have ruined the show, right? But then again, I'm like, well, I didn't invite myself in. It's not my fault. So it's just fine. And it turns out, he says, you're really a character. And I looked at him and like, so I heard. I said, did I ruin your station's identity? Because he was a station manager.
Mhm.
He said, no, I was so amused. And I said, sir, I'm not a comedian. And he started laughing, right? Like, what's wrong with this girl? But really, he said, I want you on my show. I'm like, wow, can you imagine? My energy went boing, boing, boing. Like, really? And I said, you also notice clueless. I didn't know he was the station manager at the time. So I said, you also have a show here? And these two guys were like,
See, only you could turn that into entertainment.
yeah.
Someone else had I been caught between two politicians, I'm not sure how I would have handled that. I mean, oops,
Yeah, it's a
oops,
day in my
what
life.
should I say? Are they on the same
Exactly.
side?
And so it's so funny. And then the two of them came up and said, Vivien, we'd like you to meet so and so. He's the station manager. I'm like, oh, am I really in trouble now? He said, I think you'll make a very interesting guest. And I'm like, I'm going to be the guest of the station manager because he has his own show.
Mhm.
And when I got to his show, he was such like you, an entertaining and yet informational and engaging character.
Mhm.
Typically me, I have this belief that I don't care if I don't know all the answers. But what I care is I ask timely, relevant, and meaningful, cute questions.
Mhm.
Because it's very you. My questions are so raw. They're
Mhm.
so human. You can see I have no notes. Anything I do, I give international talks. I don't write. I just it's I guess my head's a sponge. Anyway, in the middle of this in the middle of the show, I said, really? And then I started asking him all sorts of things. And then he started answering. And after he said, wait, wait, wait. He really said that. This is my show. I am the host. I thought I was, he forgot because my questions were so human. You just think if you're the station manager and you've had the talk show forever, you're always asking, and no one really cares about you. They just want to be a guest, right? But he
Mhm.
was really fascinating. And so I asked all sorts of things. And then I asked him more things until he realized, wait, 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 wait. This is my show. I said, oh, sorry. And he said, for doing that, I'm going to do something. I said, are you going to cut for a commercial and then throw me out? He said, no. And then he looked at the camera. Instead of looking at me, he looked at the camera. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to announce that Miss Vivien over here is gonna get her own talk show in my station very soon. I'm like, eh? I didn't get the title. All of a sudden, all the four languages that I speak, this is all I could say. And then he started laughing. I don't hesitate to go when I feel right? And on air, because this is all live, I don't do tape stuff.
Mhm.
And I just said, I don't know anything about talk shows. He said, well, you're in a talk show. I said, well, I don't know how to run one. He said, well, you just saw how it's done. What a character. And I said, yeah, it doesn't mean I'll know how. He said, well, you will. I said, well, I guess if you give me time. He said, I can give you time. Oh, okay, but I'm not sure if I'm competent. He said, I'm the one who rates people around here. I said, oh, okay, great. So he looks up again at the camera and says, she said yes. And so she's going to have a show on Monday. I'm like, Monday? But it's Thursday. And he says, yes, Monday usually comes soon after Thursday. So this gets funnier and funnier. And I had to learn production. I've been hosting forever, hosting events, parties, etc., training.
Mhm.
But it's not a joke to be on TV and it's live. Like, yeah. So I crammed everything I could think of into a concept.
Mhm.
And because I'm really a child at heart, it's something everybody does in kindergarten, LaWanna.
Mhm.
I call my show Show and Tell.
Oh, why show and tell?
Well, basically, most people, if you notice, when you're having a snack or dinner or lunch, you do notice everybody's talking at the same time.
True.
People just want to be seen
Mhm.
and
Okay. I
right?
give you kudos that you were able to step into that role. I mean, to be told on Thursday that you're going to have a show of your own on Monday, and you've got to learn everything you need in order to produce that show and make it a success. How long have you been doing broadcasting now?
That was 2009. Do the math for me. It's December 2021.
That'd
All right.
be what, 11 going on 12 years now?
Yes.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So when did you become a commentator?
I quickly realized that I don't like interviews that are prepared questions, which I found most people do. And I am a person, you can see I'm so hyper. I might fall asleep in my own show if I read the questions. I might bore me.
Mhm.
Okay. I really like storytelling. I do this in some countries in 4 languages around the world. I help people tell their stories by
Mhm.
having conversations, right?
Uh-huh.
I love your necklace.
Thank you.
Right. Now,
You.
question. What I do is help people tell their stories and comment on it. And that people realized was what was missing in most talk shows where people recite, recite, recite,
Mhm.
and then the host asks the next question and then they recite some more.
Mhm.
Like here, they're beginning to know what LaWanna and I do. We talk to each other, we call each other at all hours, day and night, and we
Oh
chat,
my
chat.
gosh, do we ever? I'm
Right.
telling you, it might be early in the morning here and it's midnight where she's at, or 2 o'clock in the morning or something. And we don't think about it. We just send a thing. Are you up? Can you talk?
Yeah. Yeah.
it's it's been a real interesting merry-go-round of getting to know you and having you as a friend. And I really appreciate the connection because you have allowed me to learn something about Filipinos that I didn't know before. And I think it's good when we can mingle with other people and get to learn about their cultures and things, and know that we're really all the same. We may do a few things differently, but we deep down where it counts, we're really all the same. And I appreciate that from you.
I like what you said, and I want people to think about this. I am Filipino. I am based in the Philippines, and yet I didn't grow up in a local school. I grew up in a multicultural, interdenominational school where there were more of all races, colors, creed, size, age, weight, gender, and less of Filipinos. And that is what gave me this global perspective mindset. And that is where I learned as a child that to connect to people, I had to learn to ask timely, relevant, meaningful, practical, and common sense questions. And my favorite question is why? Lawana, you
Oh,
know
the
that.
famous why that 2-year-olds give us. Trust me, 2-year-olds can go why. Whatever answer you give them, they're gonna go come back. Why? Give them another answer. Why? They're constantly asking why. And perhaps we as adults should learn to do the same thing.
I like your perspective because now we were able to tell people exactly what I do. I train people for root cause analysis. Like
Okay.
this is my problem. Why do you think it's a problem? They're like, because it is. I said, why do you think it is? A problem is permanent. A
Mhm.
situation is workable. What do you
Mhm.
think about that, Lawana?
I think that's something I have to give some thought to
Makes sense.
because
Yeah,
it's that's a it sounds easy, but it really isn't.
there.
I
I
had
agree.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine. In fact, I have a sister who did that to me one time. And it was while I resented it at the time she was doing it, because I'm thinking, why is she doing this? But you know what? By her coming back with the why constantly, it caused me to dig deep within myself to find out some things that I didn't realize. So it's a great question. And if you have someone that you can trust to help you with that, it's a wonderful freeing thing. It's almost like journaling, which I
There you
love because I think journaling is absolutely the greatest thing that has come about it can help you in so many ways, far too many ways for me to tell you right now. But I will say that if you want to know more information about journaling, I will be happy to work with you on that. You can always reach me at LaWanna Speaks. Correction, LaWanna at LaWannaSpeaks.com, or you can call me at 916-888-8089. So tell me, Vivien, I know you do some coaching. Can you give us a there may be some people who want to learn more about broadcasting, some of the root digging that you do. How would they get in touch with you? What's the best way? And do you still take clients? Because I know you are one busy lady.
That is my life advocacy.
Mhm.
I call them more than clients. I just tell them, you're not a client. You come in as a stranger and we end up becoming friends. I am not a typical coach.
Mhm.
Remember in the good old days, like I'm 70, right? In the good old days, you had a favorite aunt or a grandma. You could come and cry to and say, Auntie, mommy spanked me again. And then you know where it goes from there.
Mhm.
So I'm that kind of person. It's not the typical coaching. Let's identify your point A and point B. I'm kind of a very warm, huggy person.
Mhm.
That's what I do. And that's what leads me with my training mindset that I integrate with being a certified mental toughness coach and a certified NLP practitioner. That's neuro linguistic programming. It's
Mhm.
really all about mindset, reframing, see the big picture, see your life in a timeline, and then understanding why. Remember, I tell people when we think something is a problem, a self fulfilling prophecy, it certainly becomes a problem. My quickest advice, Lawana, to all of your viewers and to your friends you can share,
Mhm.
just say there's a situation that I'm working on and I want to fix it in the soonest possible time. The power of the word. And
Mhm.
I tell people when you mention the specific words manifesting what you want, make sure you have the body language that goes with it and the voice tone. Can you imagine? 55% of a message is from body language, 38% is from voice tone, and only 7% are words. Quickly, Lawana, I will say, can you imagine if someone goes up to you and says, I am such a lucky person and I'm really doing everything to make my life happier and more. Like, really? I don't want to be your friend. You're so weird, right? So that's how I help people look at their lives. We don't have perfect lives. I certainly don't. But I tell them what I do is saving people from themselves one step at a time, one day at a time. I hope that was useful sharing I did with you today. And the fastest way to catch me is to go on Facebook and look for all my shows are there. Look for Show and Tell Radio. The reason it says radio is at the time I set it up, it was on radio, but it became radio, teleradio, live streaming. And you look at it, it looks like TV.
Mhm.
Send me a message on Messenger, Show and Tell Radio, or email Miss Vivien 2019 at gmail.com. That's MISSVIVIEN 2019 at gmail.com. Or call Lawana. She's always on the phone with me anyway. My journal guru, Lawana, right? I love you to the moon
Mm.
and back. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on here, and I knew you would be entertaining. I'm so glad you came on the show today. And for those of you who would really like to connect with her, we will put the information out there so that you can get it. And as she said, you can follow her on Facebook. So go look up Show and Tell and take a look at some of her interviews. This lady is very lively, full of humor and will leave you laughing and in good spirits. So I highly recommend that you go and take a look at what she has to offer. Again, it's been a pleasure having you here. I hope you will come again sometime to be on the show. I, I, I fantasize that people are going to start reaching out and saying, "Where? How can I have? Are you going to have her again?" I'm looking forward to that because I know it will happen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for being a part of the show. This is Courage to Live Your Dream. I'm so excited that you were on here today. And as I always tell you, please be safe. Do whatever it is you can to take care of yourself. And whatever you do, please always keep the faith.